How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brown Logan, and today we got to talk about the Congressional Black Caucus and their egregious, terrible, poor behavior at the State of the Union address of 2018. I wish I was able to continue streaming that live. That's a whole big drama we got going on. I'm still not able to stream live right now. Hopefully we'll be able to fix that, YouTube. I'm talking to you, but I'm gonna go ahead and digress. I was seeing some of the clips and reactions after the State of the Union address was over, and I happened to see the Congressional Black Caucus complete with the Kente cloth outfit, which, by the way, a lot of liberals, even some black liberals like on the root.com, they were triggered about the Kente cloth. They thought they were doing cosplay. That was funny because if you talk to many Africans, not all, but many Africans look at Kente cloth as something that only African Americans do. That's not necessarily traditional African garb. Some Africans wear it, but a lot of Africans don't. But whole different story. I was seeing their reactions to what Trump was saying about the black unemployment and other things. It was not surprising to me, but to many people it was surprising. I was not surprised at all. And then you got people talking about what Jimmy Kimmel said. But before we get into all of that, I just want to roll a few clips. Now, first, we're going to see the Congressional Black Caucus and how they behaved when Trump said certain things. Then we're going to see Luis Gutierrez, which, you know, that doesn't sound too black to me. I think it's part of the Hispanic caucus. He appeared to be wearing Kente cloth as well when he walked out after a USA chant erupted. I guess you have an Hispanic guy who's not a fan of the USA. My biggest reaction, my first reaction would be, we'll go back to where you came from, but I'm going to move on. And the final thing that we're going to see before I come back and give you my 2 cents and everything is Jimmy Kimmel talking about Barack Obama and the black unemployment rate and how he's to thank and not Donald Trump. So without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
After years and years of wage stagnation, we are finally seeing rising wages. African American unemployment stands at the lowest rate ever recorded. And Hispanic American unemployment has also reached the lowest levels in history. And freedom stands tall over one more monument. This one, this Capitol, this living monument. This is the monument to the American people.
Somebody please inform Jay-Z that because of my policies, black unemployment has just been reported to be at the lowest rate ever recorded. Now, I don't know what policy he's talking about. He didn't even get a piece of major legislation passed until December. And black unemployment has been going down in pretty much a straight line since 2010. In other words, the credit for lower black unemployment, ironically, goes to an unemployed black guy.
Okay, so you saw that. Now let's start with first things first, the Congressional Black Caucus. Oh, man. These people do nothing. The Congressional Black Caucus is just, you know, a meaningless organization within the Congress. Basically, you have members of Congress that are black, and then they form this little group called the Congressional Black Caucus. I think it's led by Cedric Richmond, and there are a few other people in it. If I could find a list of their names, it's not really that important because they don't do anything. I think one of them got locked up, if I'm not mistaken. Was it Frederica Wilson? I don't think she got locked up. I think it was somebody else that got locked up. They might be in the CBC or affiliated with them. April Ryan, the journalist who got into that controversial kerfuffle with President Trump when Trump first got in office. She's kind of like part of them in a roundabout way. She's not in Congress, obviously. She's just a journalist, but she's like their liaison to the White House, I suppose. But I'm getting way off topic. Now, the Congressional Black Caucus, they don't do anything. They purport themselves to be fighting for the rights, for the needs of black people, talking about minimum wage. I'm pretty sure I've heard them talk about DACA. But first of all, minimum wage, what is that going to do to help black people? Really, raising the minimum wage is not going to help black people at all. Really, what it's going to do is help illegal immigrants, and it's also going to help people that already have a lot of money and who have high skills. And I'll explain. Raising the minimum wage prices many black Americans out of the job market. The only thing that a person with low skills and who is a U.S. citizen has as leverage when you're talking about being able to gain employment is the fact that they work for a lower amount of money. The minimum wage was instituted back in 1938 or 1940 to basically hedge against what I just described, using your ability to take a lower wage. That was eliminated because back in the day, if you were a black person, no skills, no education, you can go up north and get a construction job for less than what the white person would get it, and you would get the job. But then when they came with the minimum wage, that was no longer the case. So if you have a racist person that is the foreman or whatever they call it at a construction site that hires somebody, there's no longer an incentive to hire you as a black person. Just hire the white person if it's going to be for the same amount of money, right? So then when you raise the minimum wage, you continue that same process, not necessarily because of racism, but because of the skill gap. If you don't have skills, education, or experience, why would I hire you for $15 an hour when I can hire a guy over here who has all those things I want and is willing to work for the same amount of money? It doesn't make any sense. So raising the minimum wage, fight for 15, that's not going to help us. What's going to help is creating an environment that is business friendly. So your employer or your potential employer will be incentivized to give you more money based upon him having more money in his pocket to not only give you, but to also invest into the company so he's able to produce more money. That's how that works. And then they want to talk about DACA. What does DACA got to do with us? That's for illegal immigrants. There are no African Americans here illegally. If you are a descendant of a slave, you are not here illegally. You have birthright citizenship, period. So DACA has nothing to do with you. Really, what DACA does is, in many ways, it replaces you, black man, black woman, in the workplace. Look at Compton, California. At one point, that was all black. Now it's all Hispanic. Now, take a wild guess of how many of them that are there in Compton that replace the black population are there illegally. So why would you be out there fighting for them? It doesn't make any sense. Fight for yourself first. Now, I'm not a totally insensitive person. You might have a little baby that's been brought over here by their parents or whatever. That's fine. But hey, that's their fight. They got to fight, not mine. That's just what it is. And moving right along to just the CBC in general, to talk about them before I get to Luis Gutierrez walking out. They don't do anything. They're a meaningless organization. They want to style and profile, peacock in their kente cloth, get a lot of attention, but for no reason. They have not done anything for the black community, for black people, not for me, not for anyone else. They are just there to, I guess, I don't even know what the purpose of them is. Maybe they are there to just virtue signal, to say, hey, we're black people and we're helping the black community. So they can go to the so-called the cookout, the proverbial cookout, which I've been disinvited from many times. Maybe they want to go there and say what they have done for the black community, even though they have done nothing. But talking about Luis Gutierrez, the guy that walked out when the USA chant happened, I mean, like I said before the clip rolled, if you don't like this country, go back to wherever you came from. If you are an American citizen, then you should be proud to be an American citizen. And if you're not proud to be an American citizen, why are you here? It doesn't make any sense. There are plenty of people who are not citizens yet that will take your spot gladly, right? And they'll take it the appropriate way. They'll take it legally. That's all I ask as an American, as a citizen. If you want to come over here, you're welcome. Come one, come all. But just do it the right way. Don't do it in a roundabout way. Don't do it illegally. That's all that I ask. That's not really such a big demand for me. At least I don't think it is. So I think maybe the reason why he walked out is because he's against nationalism. I'm seeing all kind of articles and I'm seeing all kind of people, your talking heads like your Joanne Reids or whatever, who always has her show AM Joy manually curated on Twitter's trending list just because they probably know her. It's some kind of connection there with MSNBC or with Joy Reid or with the black community or whatever it is. She came out and said how the State of the Union address reeked of 1950s nationalism, God, family, guns, or whatever. I'm like, why is that a bad thing? Why is it a bad thing to be a nationalist? Okay, you're an American citizen. Be proud to be an American citizen. I don't see why it's such a bad thing. And the funny part about that is she's railing against nationalism, but at many of these so-called rallies that she would support in favor of DACA, Fight for 15, or whatever the case may be. And the funny part is that you're going to see Mexican people or people who have Mexican citizenship here illegally with the Mexican flag. Is that not nationalism right there? That's exactly what that is. But I guess it doesn't really count because they are not American citizens. I think all nationalism is fine as long as you're not in a predominantly white country. But I digress. Now, my next thing would be to talk about Jimmy Kimmel and his claim about Barack Obama being responsible for black unemployment being as low as it's ever been. And I'm seeing this being parroted everywhere. Everybody's saying this. I'm getting emails talking about it, and they use the exact same line that Jimmy Kimmel made. It's funny how when a black person is actually in the black community for the past, 10 years, I did a 10-year bid, so to speak, in the black community, dealing directly with the black community in business. Hampton Roads, Virginia, ask about me in the black area. They'll pretty much know who I am. Talk about Logan. They know what it is. I've been in every barbershop, beauty salon, car dealership, welding, HVAC, everything that you could think of that a black person would own. I've been there one way or another. Okay. That was my job for 10 years. And I'm still kind of involved with it, just not as much anymore. I'm probably about 30% involved with black business today, maybe about 20 to 30%. Whereas back in the day, up until just maybe a few months ago, I was 100% in it. All right. So I know what was going on during the period of time that Kimmel was talking about. The black unemployment was steadily on the decline. In 2010 and 2011, when he says the whole decline started of the black unemployment, that was the worst time. That was like the peak of the worst time when you're talking about black people under Barack Obama. When you're talking about the economy in the past 15 to 20 years, I remember it very specifically, very vividly. People were going bankrupt. People were calling me, just trying to find ways to make money. And I remember my business specifically, it was just starting to go down and down and down. Consumer confidence was very low. Nobody wanted to spend money. Nobody wanted to open any kind of new business. It was a bad time. So for Kimmel to come out here and say, oh, thank Obama for what's going on right now with the economy, with black unemployment, is not really being genuine. If you look at the stats, they do say that the black unemployment had been going down, but that doesn't mean anything when you're talking about the state of the economy. The state of the economy right now is better for black folks than it had ever been under Obama at any point in time. And I know this by having my finger on the pulse, by being here in the black community for many, many, many years. I know how it goes ups and downs. I know the ups and downs. I know what's going on. The reality is that what's happening now is totally different than what was happening back in 2012, 2011, 2010. It's much better. I mean, the tax reform and the thing about the stock market, people don't understand, as I close, people don't understand that the stock market does not necessarily just rise on a, elongated slope. It's a sharp rise and a sharp fall. When Trump came into office, the stock market surged because the spectators, the investors, the traders, they know, okay, we got Trump in here. We're going to have favorable conditions for us to be able to trade these stocks and bonds. That's what that is. That's why the stock market rose. But when Obama came into office, and even when it appeared that he would be coming into office, the stock market was declining. Not just because of him. There was other things going on. You had the housing market crisis or whatever. But Obama made it worse when he came in because consumer confidence was low. Traders didn't want to spend. They didn't want to buy and sell. That's what was going on. But when Trump came in there, just by him being there, the stock market rose up because you had consumer confidence very high. And you saw that trickle down, so to speak, to use the left's words. It trickled down to the average everyday person as well, because look at the Christmas season of 2017 and also 2016, very high consumer confidence. And you're going to see that trend continue to happen over the duration of Trump's presidency, and hopefully henceforth thereafter, if you have a great successor that's also having the same types of economic philosophies as Trump. All right. And then look at the whole thing with the tax cut bill. I mean, it's not even fully implemented yet, but again, you got confidence. The people who run their companies understand what's going to happen. They look at the tax bill, they look at how it's going to affect them into the future, and they're making decisions right now because they not only have to make decisions for themselves to make their companies succeed, you also got to think about the environment that we're in. It's a competitive environment. So if Walmart does something, then Target, or Target as I like to call it, they need to be right on their heels. They need to be thinking ahead of them to predict what they're going to do to match it or to better it, because you got to be able to compete in order to stay in business, and you got to be able to compete in order to feed your employees, to hire more employees, et cetera, so on and so forth. So the environment that Trump has created has made for a better economy for all Americans, especially those at the bottom level of it. Black Americans, I mean, you're talking about the individual mandate being eliminated. You're talking about all these bonuses. You're talking about wages being raised just because of the tax cuts. You're talking about consumer confidence being very high, spending being very high. All those things positively impact Black people in the workforce, whether you are an employer or an employee. But what do you think? Do you think that the current state of the economy being as good as it is a result of Barack Obama? Now, if that's your case, if that's your assertion, then please explain to me how he gets the credit for a good economy a year after he's gone, but during the whole 8 years, we didn't see any sign of that. Now, you could say whatever kind of numbers you want to say, but I look at what actually happened on the ground. I was there. I've been there throughout his whole presidency. When you're talking about Black business, I was there under Bush, under 8 years of Obama, and I'm still kind of here now under Trump. And I have a connection directly. I understand what's going on. People call me, they talk to me, people that have brick and mortar businesses, people that pay taxes, people that pay employees, Black men and women. I know what's going on. So maybe you have better insight than me being actually right here on the ground. Maybe you know better. Maybe you listen to Jimmy Kimmel, a white liberal who's never been in any kind of Black business the way I have, who is not a Black person, who lives in this ivory tower in the sky and gets fed talking points from his team of writers, most of whom are not even Black, and most of whom probably just came from college in their mommy's house recently. Listen to him rather than listening to me. That's fine if you want to do that. But do you think I'm right about the state of the economy and the Black community as it relates to Trump's policies? Is it because of Trump that we have a great economy for all Americans, including Black, white, Puerto Rican, Kente stripe, whatever your race, nationality, creed, gender, whatever it is good for all of us, due in large part to what Trump has done? Now, Obama was the president for 8 years, so maybe you could say, okay, he did something, but all I saw under Obama, all I felt under Obama was a steady decline. Things were decent in the first term, probably like I say 08. Well, not 08, because that was still Bush. 09, it was still okay because you were still feeling some of the effects of Bush. And then 10, it was kind of okay. And the difference between me saying that 09 and 10, you were still feeling some of Bush, and me now saying that a year later after Obama, you're not really feeling his effects as much, is because I'm seeing much more movement when you're talking about what Trump is doing in a positive way. But when Obama was in office, I didn't see that much movement. I saw a lot of just talking, just grandstanding, but not really doing anything in any kind of proactive way. If anything, I saw him do things that were going to just take the country down. The decline started when he came into office, and it really came into effect right around a year or two of him being in there. 2010, 2011, and 2012 was when it really just fell apart for many of us in the Black community. And I was really disappointed when he became the president again. I was a Mitt Romney guy, but hey, what are you going to do? I think many of us are starting to wake up right now because we see what a business-minded individual being in office is able to do versus a non-business-minded individual. But whatever your comments are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.